J-Bone here, and it is time to recap and review the story-filled 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and talk about such hot topics as Ollie Bearman's crazy F1 debut, that incredible teamwork from Haas, how my 3 race predictions turned out, and more. J-Bone! First and foremost, I have some massive, earth-shattering F1 news for you. I, J-Bone, just went 3 for 3 with my Saudi Arabian Grand Prix race predictions. J-Bone. Yes, I made 3 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix race predictions last week before the race weekend, and all 3 of them came true in what can only be described as an act of true 100% perfection. My first race prediction was that Red Bull would finish 1-2 at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and ding ding, J-Bone got that one right. J-Bone! Red Bull remain in a league of their own at the moment, which is bad for the sport and all non-Red Bull fans, but great for this prediction. My second race prediction was that Charles Leclerc would finish on the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix podium, and ding ding, J-Bone also got that one right. J-Bone! Leclerc bounced back from his disappointing Bahrain Grand Prix P4 result by assumedly yelling at Ferrari in between races to give him a non-broken car for Saudi Arabia, which they delivered, and which Leclerc comfortably drove to a P3 finish in Jeddah. And my third race prediction of my 3 for 3 was that Nico Hülkenberg would finish in the points in Saudi Arabia, and ding ding, J-Bone also got that one right to go 3 for 3 with my predictions in Jeddah. J-Bone! This was my boldest prediction in a while, as Hulk had previously managed just one F1 Grand Prix points finish since the year 2020, and thanks to Nico's Haas teammate Kevin Magnussen being the ultimate team player, Nico finished P10 to take home 1 championship point and make me, J-Bone, go 3 for 3. That puts me at 4 for 6 for the season thus far with my predictions, which is pretty good. And that also now makes it a back-to-back Saudi Arabian Grand Prix where I've gone 3 for 3, which is a remarkable accomplishment. I clearly know Jeddah. Hashtag J-Bone knows Jeddah. Go comment that below to congratulate me. And guess what, folks? I'm going to follow up this 3 for 3 by going 3 for 3 again with my Australian Grand Prix race predictions coming next week. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel so that you can see those predictions right when they drop. Also, while you're doing that, toss this video a like, because I'm trying to get over 1,333 likes on this video to celebrate my 3 for 3. J-Bone! And going off of all that, I, J-Bone, have a bone to pick with you. Here's why. As you probably know, I make 3 predictions before every single Formula 1 race, and then, after the race weekend is over, I follow up and report back on how my predictions did, because I believe that all sports pundits should be held accountable for their takes, good or bad, which is an honorable move by me if I do say so myself. After I correctly predicted that Max Verstappen would win the Bahrain Grand Prix, I made another honorable move. I told you all that I would not be predicting Max Verstappen wins for the remainder of this F1 season because they are more of a guarantee than a prediction at this point in time, and I want to keep my predictions spicy. That is why for the following race, this past weekend's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, I did not predict a Max Verstappen victory. Instead, I predicted a Red Bull 1-2 finish, which I must note did come true as I proceeded to go 3 for 3 with my Saudi Arabian Grand Prix predictions. J-Bone! Now here's why I have a bone to pick with you. A bunch of you have been commenting on my videos, criticizing me by saying that I went against my word and still predicted a Max victory in Saudi Arabia by predicting a Red Bull 1-2, which is an absurd take. Even if you think I was using the 1-2 prediction as a workaround for predicting Max to finish P1, this prediction still required Checo Perez to finish P2 in order to come true. If the prediction instead had just been Checo to finish P2, you all would have been fine with it, but simply because I decided to make the prediction more difficult to come true by also including Max, all your heads exploded. Think about it this way. A Max Verstappen race win prediction would have been correct for 20 of the 23 races preceding the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, or 87% of the time. But a Red Bull 1-2 prediction? That would have only been correct for 7 of the 23 races preceding the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, or just 30% of the time. 87% versus 30%, that's a pretty massive probability differential, don't you agree? So yeah, if you're one of the people who thought predicting a Max Verstappen race win and a Red Bull 1-2 were the same thing, and then you came at me in the comments, please leave another comment below your original comment apologizing to me, J-Bone, or At the very least, the least you can do. Stay tuned all the way through this ad read. In this day and age, anyone can sell products online, and if you're thinking about starting, you need to be using my partner Shopify. Shopify is the best all-in-one commerce platform capable of handling your business's complexity no matter how big you grow. Step up to Shopify and harness the best converting checkout and the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands like Ruggable and Allbirds. Why spend time trying to build an online store with someone besides Shopify when Shopify stores convert the best? You shouldn't be. You should be using Shopify through that URL right there. One thing that I love about Shopify, and you will too, is that it integrates with YouTube, which is something I'm actually in the process of setting up so that I can sell Formula Bone merch right on here. Stop leaving sales on the table, switch your business to Shopify, and discover why millions trust Shopify as their all-in-one commerce platform to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/fbone, all lowercase, very important, all lowercase. That's 1 month for just $1 at shopify.com/fbone, shopify.com/fbone. Next, let's get you caught up on everything else you need to know from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix weekend. The biggest story: I still cannot believe what just happened in Formula One with Ollie Bearman. Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz was sitting in third place in the World Drivers' Championship as he prepared for the second race of the F1 season, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was set to be a massive race for Carlos Sainz. He looked to solidify his position as the #1 non-Red Bull driver in the standings and better his chances of getting picked up by a top team for next season, considering Lewis Hamilton will be replacing him at Ferrari, and Sainz doesn't currently have a seat lined up for 2025 yet. So Sainz makes it to Jeddah, competes in Thursday's 2 practice sessions, and then boom! That was the sound of Carlos Sainz's appendix bursting because he got diagnosed with appendicitis and had to undergo an emergency surgery that would render him unable to compete in free practice 3, qualifying, or the Grand Prix. And because Formula One teams always have backup drivers ready to go for this exact reason, our hero now enters the story, one Ollie Bearman. British racing driver Ollie Bearman is Ferrari's reserve driver for this season, so it was his job to step up when Sainz went down. Fortunately for both Ollie Bearman and Ferrari, Bearman was quite familiar with the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix circuit, the Jeddah Corniche circuit, considering he had just qualified on pole in the Formula 2 feeder series race there the day prior. Yes, in a scene straight out of a movie, the Formula 2 pole sitter was called up to compete in Formula 1, giving up what would have been a big F2 weekend for him in exchange for receiving the opportunity of a lifetime to become a Ferrari F1 driver for a weekend. And not just any Ferrari F1 driver, but the youngest ever Ferrari F1 driver at just 18 years of age, breaking a youth record that had been in place since 1961 by way of Ricardo Rodriguez, for whom the Mexico City Grand Prix circuit is named. And what did Bearman do with this opportunity of a lifetime? On Friday, given very short notice, he hopped into Sainz's Ferrari, a car he was not familiar with, did 22 practice laps, then was thrown right into the qualifying fire. Miraculously, Bearman made it into Q2 and then finished P11, coming just 37 thousandths of a second away from knocking 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton out of qualifying and taking Lewis's spot in Q3. From P11 on the starting grid, Bearman ran an extremely solid race that included some overtakes and hard racing, and he finished P7 on debut, which is an incredible result that deserves a ton of praise and has been getting a lot of praise. Last year, I made a video about Bearman's Baku weekend where he achieved F2's first ever clean sweep of all 4 race weekend events: practice, qualifying, the sprint race, and the feature race. And I said at the end of that video, remember the name Oliver Bearman. Well, if you didn't remember it after that, you will now. I love everything about this Oliver Bearman story, aside from how Carlos Sainz had to get appendicitis to make it happen, of course. But my favorite part of this whole story is how Oliver Bearman is now in the top 10 of the Formula One standings with 6 points, yet all the way at the bottom of the Formula 2 standings with 0 points, despite Formula 2 being the series he is actually competing in. Side note, do you think Bearman will finish the F1 season ahead of any of the drivers currently below him in the F1 standings? Let me know in the comments. Go comment right now. Next, the American Formula One team just scored an F1 championship point in the funniest way possible. In order to score points in a Formula One Grand Prix, you need to have a driver finish in the top 10. Something USA-based F1 team Haas hadn't had in the last 8 races leading up to this past weekend's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Things weren't looking good for them once the race got underway either, as neither Haas was starting in the top 10, and Haas's are not exactly known for their race pace and overtaking abilities. Things appeared to get even worse for Haas when their driver Kevin Magnussen racked up 20 seconds worth of time penalties, ruining his race. But when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and boy did Haas turn this seemingly bad situation on its head. Knowing Magnussen's race was over, Haas quickly realized that he could actually be used as a pawn to help the race of their other driver, Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg still had a shot at finishing in 10th place in Saudi Arabia, which is in the points, but only if he could build up a big enough gap to the cars behind him to where he could make a pit stop and still come out ahead of them. Haas knew that Nico could not build up a gap this large on his own, but luckily for them, they had Kevin Magnussen between Nico and the cars he had to build the gap to. Haas then went full big brain and told Kevin Magnussen to drive as slowly as he reasonably could through the narrow portions of the Jeddah Corniche circuit where overtaking is not possible, and then to defend as hard as he could on the straights where overtaking is possible to help Nico build the gap he needed to finish in the final points position. Miraculously, this plan worked to absolute chef's kiss perfection, and by the time Nico completed his pit stop, he came back on track on fresh tires, still ahead of Magnussen and the train of cars behind Magnussen that were unable to defeat Haas's master plan, aka the Haaster plan. Hülkenberg finished the race P10 to give Haas their first point of the season, propelling them to 6th place in the 2024 F1 World Constructors Championship, because that's all it takes, 1 point. Interestingly, Haas have now finished in the points at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix 3 years in a row, which means I'll be predicting Haas points for the 2025 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as I go 3 for 3 with my predictions in Jeddah yet again. Hashtag J-Bone knows Jeddah. J-Bone! Next up, what the heck is going on with Formula One pit stops right now? F1 pit crews are known around the world for their insane speed that comes from countless hours of practice. Just last year in Qatar, McLaren changed all 4 of their cars' tires in 1.8 seconds flat, which is absolutely absurd. However, through the first 2 Grand Prix of the F1 season, we've somehow already seen 3 of the worst, most botched pit stops in recent years. First, there was Valtteri Bottas's 52.4 second pit stop in Bahrain that was caused by a wheel nut issue and was so comically bad that it deserves the Benny Hill theme music treatment. Then, Stake ran back pretty much the exact same pit stop in Saudi Arabia, with Bottas' teammate Zhou Guanyu getting a pit stop lasting around 28 seconds. This slow stop, again, was caused by a wheel nut issue. Since Stake are apparently going to keep cutting their worst pit stop times in half every race, they should get under 3 seconds by the Miami Grand Prix in May. Now, at first, I thought this was just a Stake issue, but then I saw the footage that the F1 gods apparently didn't want any of us to see because it was not shown on the broadcast nor talked about at all, of V-Carb driver Daniel Ricciardo's 41-second pit stop caused by a tire issue in Jeddah. My dad's buddy Daryl can change a tire in under 41 seconds if you're looking for a new pit crew member. Alpha Tauri Scuderia Toro Cash App RB or whatever your name is. Let me know if you want to speak with him and I'll give you his fax number. I know it's the beginning of the season, but F1 pit crews have to get their act together if they do not want their stellar reputation to be tarnished. Daryl may not be the hero they want, but I think he's the hero they need. Personally, I think Stake and V-Carb need to hire some new pit crew members, and if they do, they need to be using my sponsor, Indeed, which is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one convenient place. Whether you're hiring or looking for a job, Indeed is the place to go. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed is a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. Something I love about Indeed, and the reason that I use it to hire, and Stake and V-Carb should too, they need new pit crew members, is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because Indeed's hiring platform matches you with quality candidates instantly. Indeed is the #1 source of hires in the US according to Talent Nest, so what are you waiting for? Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/FBone. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/FBone. Just go to Indeed.com/FBone and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Indeed.com/FBone. Need to hire. You need Indeed. So do Steak and V-Carb. Last but not least, the craziest sports story from this past weekend came by way of a women's motorsport race in Saudi Arabia, and you need to hear what happened. The Formula One Saudi Arabian Grand Prix went down this past weekend at the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia, but that was not the only race that took place during the F1 race weekend. F1 frequently schedules other motorsport series to hold their race events during F1 Grand Prix weekends in what are called support races. Support races help give F1 ticket holders better value because they get more racing to watch, but they also help boost support series' visibility and allow them an easy way to race on world-class FIA Grade 1 circuits. In Saudi Arabia this past F1 weekend, one of the other motorsport series to race was F1 Academy, who was opening their season there. F1 Academy is a female-only Formula 4 level racing series run by Susie Wolf that serves as a bridge for empowering women to enter the FIA's single-seat racing ladder. There are 15 cars in F1 Academy, 10 of which are each sponsored by a different Formula 1 team as part of a partnership between the two series. And it was during one of F1 Academy's 2 races in Saudi Arabia that the craziest sports story from this past weekend happened. Mercedes junior driver Dorian Pain, who drives for Prema Racing in F1 Academy, absolutely cleaned up in Jeddah. She topped the lone practice session, then qualified on pole twice, once for each of the weekend's 2 F1 Academy races, then won race number 1. And race number 2, well, it ended very similarly, with Pain crossing the finish line in P1 to complete a clean sweep of the race weekend. But of course, the story does not end here. When Pain crossed the finish line for race 2, a combination of her race engineer never telling her the race was over because he was too busy celebrating, and her view of the checkered flag being obstructed led to her not knowing the race was over. She ended up completing an extra lap of the race at race speed and took the checkered flag twice before the session was red flagged. Taking the checkered flag twice is against the rules in pretty much every motorsport series, as cars must head directly to Parc Fermé for inspection post-race, and also because it's considered unsafe for the driver still on track, as well as any track and race personnel who might be going onto the racetrack. Because of this unfortunate series of events, after the podium ceremony, Pain was given a post-race 20-second time penalty that led to her dropping from P1 to P9 for the race, and more importantly and unfortunately, led to her dropping from the clear-cut championship leader who won every event thus far in the season to P3 in the championship standings. Wild. Special shout out to my top YouTube channel members: Joe Max's #1 hitter Snow, Snapple Facts, Brian Linton, Daddy Fett, Wolf Loves Racing, and David Hake. Mash that join button just below this video to get your name shouted out right here in future videos, as well as a bunch of other awesome perks for less than $5 a month. And make sure to tune into my live streams right here on YouTube if you want a shot at a channel membership being gifted to you. I'll see you back here next week for my Australian Grand Prix preview. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you get notified right when that preview goes live next week, and you can see my 3 race predictions that are all going to come true. Until next time, folks, J-Bone! J-Bone!